You know, as a fan of Star Wars for almost 40 years now, to watch it go up in flames as it's doing right now, I feel the need to speak up. Now, I've stayed silent for quite some time. I think the last video I did was probably a couple years ago now, 2 or 3 years ago. And before that, I don't even remember. You know, I don't watch the TV shows. I the I wasn't able to see the last movie, Rise of Skywalker. I was told not to because of the light sensitivity. It would activate my seizures. I saw Rogue One and I saw the Solo movie. But other than that, I haven't seen the TV shows. Now we have The Acolyte. This is something that I see now. There's an entire generation that their idea of Star Wars is to watch these shows and then immediately go online and start yelling at people, calling them names, accusing them of things. You know, you're a racist, you're a bigot if you don't like this. Um, you're a sexist, you're this, you're that, this, that, and the other. And it just turns into fighting. Now, granted, we had fights. We had heated discussions, and it was usually, which ship was better. And are you for real? You think the Millennium Falcon is the best one? This one's the best one. Oh, get real. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I sat through a lot of that, and I was part of it. I can remember when Grand Admiral Thrawn was revealed in the TIE Fighter video game, and there were a lot of people that didn't think that the animation was very good. And there was a fight about that. And I mean, there were fights about the expanded universe books. Which one was better? I mean, those those particular books for Star Wars fans were everything. Those were like basically the movies we didn't think we were going to get until the prequels came. I mean, we had the video games and everything. And yeah, we had heated discussions over them. That was our geeky book club. And we had heated discussions over them. And then when the prequels came, it was like a scandal over the midichlorians. It was a big old scandal about that. And just the whole thing. I can remember there was, and I know it's not there anymore because, or maybe the person posted it somewhere else, like on a website or blog post or somewhere, but it was on MySpace when I first saw it. And it was this whole thing where, and it was long, and it was this whole thing comparing and Revenge of the Sith hadn't come out yet. We were still waiting for the Revenge of the Sith. And he was comparing the original trilogy to the two movies, the two prequel movies, and showing how much that George Lucas did not know his own movies. So yes, we did we did all that. Okay, but we were not malicious to the extent of what it of calling each other racist and bigot. I mean, come on. Everybody loved Mace Windu. We still do, as far as I know. Mace Windu and Lando, we protected with our very lives. It it's getting tiresome at this point that with Disney, before they release anything, they have to attack the fans. And then you have those few fans who are like the shield. And they say, yeah, you're not a true fan. You're a racist and you're a bigot if you don't. And it's like, how is that supposed to sell me on this thing? Okay, that doesn't make any sense at all. It's it's tiresome to have these shows be released and even the movies. I mean, like when um The Force Awakens came out, there was like that whole thing about how black people aren't in space when they introduced Finn. They saw Finn in the trailer and it was like, oh, black people aren't. What was that? And I clearly remember that the fans, because I was part of that whole thing, where I was like, excuse me, time out. What are you talking about? Because there was Lando and there was uh Mace Windu. Would this what? That doesn't make any sense. Who's saying this? So from the moment that Disney started putting out anything, this drama has started. Is this a Kathleen Kennedy thing? Because I feel like it is. And she has roped Leslie Headland into it. Because those two, it's like nonstop. And you got people backing them up. Like okay. Because the Star Wars I remember, like I would, I have these great memories. I had posters all over my wall and all that. And I cosplayed I went to midnight showings. Apparently they don't do midnight showings anymore. Of course, COVID did its share. But and there's a lot of other reasons too. I don't keep up with everything, but the point is that we used to go to the midnight showings. We would dress up as the characters and everything, and fun times. We would play the video games, and we would always try to better each other at our scores, and that was always fun. And of course, the special edition was out, and so there were a lot of these gold board games like the gold edition Trivial Pursuit. We played that. And yeah, that had a lot of interesting information about the background characters that, because I remember playing that with and I got one question about somebody that I never even knew existed in the back. And, and of course, like I said, the reveal of Grand Admiral Thrawn and all that stuff. Lots of great memories. And again, yeah, we had our arguments and everything about uh all this other stuff. And but I was my parents talk about, of course, when the first one came out in 77, and my dad especially, of course, they didn't know about Empire Strikes Back yet. And there was this huge thing. There were buttons and all this stuff made about how Darth Vader didn't die. And so Darth Vader's not dead. Darth Vader's not dead. And um so they were insistent that he hadn't died. And so there was this big fan base for Darth Vader, and they and so and and so back in the 70s, I can only imagine what it was like when going to Empire Strikes Back and seeing him show up at Hoth. I knew it, he didn't die. And yet now what have we got? Every time something pops up, we're being screamed at, being accused of things before the thing even shows up. Why would I watch it? You yell at the customer and then you yell at the customer again because they didn't look at the thing. What? Don't be shocked when the merchandise doesn't sell after you attack the customer. It's well, this is the thing is the reason for all of this hullabaloo is that right now Star Wars is being held hostage by Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland. You know, they're ripping apart these characters and this universe, and they're proud to do it. But I call it the Ed Gein complex. What they're doing is they're wrapping Star Wars around themselves, basically, and as if it's they're, like a skin, and fixing it to fit them and saying, look what I did. This is mine. Only it isn't. It will never be theirs. They didn't create Star Wars. Okay. They didn't. They're creating a bunch of fan fiction, sure. But as for the universe of Star Wars, they didn't create it. George Lucas did. In fact, nobody knew who Kathleen Kennedy was until 2012. So, it, why are people defending her so hard? The stan culture has got to go. There are people who will, like, there's these little pieces of drama over on TikTok. I see the Marquee channel will show these little bits of drama, like a hairstylist drama or this and that. And there are people that are standing their pants off for these people. And it's like, you didn't know who they were an hour ago. Why are you going nuts? Holy hell. So, yeah, nobody knew who Kathleen Kennedy was until 2012 when George Lucas said that, I mean, he sang her praises and said, yeah, she works for the president position of Lucasfilm. And that's everybody is so tight-assed about that. Whenever they defend her, they're like, well, George Lucas said, okay, but look at the job she's doing. What has she released that's original? Because right now, she is extremely dependent. For someone who talks about, I don't need no man, she's extremely dependent on the creations of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. If it weren't for those two, she wouldn't be where she's at right now. I mean, she's the president of Lucasfilm. Lucas. The, seriously, The Force Awakens is a new hope. It's it, and I've seen several people say that The Last Jedi is just Empire Strikes Back in reverse. I actually sat there and watched it again. Now, I hadn't seen it since seeing it in the theater. I actually sat there and watched it again, and yeah, they're right. Rogue One is Kyle Katarn. Like Jyn Erso is the gal that is works with Kyle Katarn. And of course, they have a droid as well. And do we really need the list of how many times she cherry picks from the expanded universe that she said didn't exist anymore because she was going to make her own sequel trilogy? Except Kylo Ren is from the expanded universe. I did. Oh my gosh. And what's funny to me is that when people who are defending her are backed into a corner, they suddenly say, but her name is on so many posters. So what? Yeah, her pic her name is on the poster for An American Tail, but Don Bluth came up with the story. Empire of the Sun, Steven Spielberg came up with the story. No, actually, that is based off of a true story. Uh, so Steven Spielberg just helped that. It- when you go now, a lot of people want to bring up executive producer. They think that it's a big deal to be an executive producer. Okay. In films, I have it right here. In films, the executive producer generally contributes to the film's budget, and their involvement depends on the project. And some, with some simply securing funds and others being involved in the filmmaking process. Now, since she doesn't have a creative bone in her body, I would say that she has nothing to do with the filmmaking process, considering that, again, a lot of her projects are just taking from her former employers. What about Dial of Destiny? Whose character is that? Yeah. And what was that one? There was a that Rogue Squadron or whatever it was, the one that Patty Jenkins was supposed to do that was shelved. And the way that they talked about that, originally it was supposed to have another name, I guess. It was like the Alphabet Squadron or something like that. And it's just X-Wing. That's another it's another expanded universe. When I sat there and I heard them talking about that, I was like, I've heard this before because it's the X-Wing. X-Wing and Y-Wing, that series even has a game. Like, just, yeah, I don't understand this need to defend her so hard. The stan culture is off the charts. But okay, here's here's something for you. So I remember the reveal for Grand Admiral Thrawn. All right. And everybody was disappointed. They hated that. I believe that one was in Ahsoka. Okay. So big reveal for Grand Admiral Thrawn, and people didn't like how he looked. And they were mad. Oh, I saw Twitter explode with that one. All right. Well, here's the thing is before that, I think it was like a couple years before that, maybe just a year, um, give or take. I remember people, well, it was like right after Love and Thunder had been released, people saw Christian Bale's performance in that, and people wanted the Star Wars fans wanted Christian Bale to play Grand Admiral Thrawn, and they were actually photoshopping Christian Bale as Grand Admiral Thrawn, with the blue face and everything. And here's the thing about that is in 2018, Christian Bale had talked about how he wanted to be in the Star Wars universe. And there were articles about it. I talked about it here on my channel, and the videos are still there. I linked the articles and everything. And so he had worked with Kathleen Kennedy before in Empire of the Sun. And he even talked with Rian Johnson, and uh, they had talked about about like a TV series for, I believe, Darth Revan, and then silence. And the thing about it is that next thing you hear is that Christian Bale is over in the MCU. Okay. Um, so what happened there? Th this is why I ask. All right, because the Star Wars universe, with all these TV shows that they do, The Mandalorian, Bad Batch, and all of these, there are a lot of cameos. I noticed they have Jack Black, Lizzo, Christopher Lloyd, Danny Trejo, and quite a bit. Now, my question is, you had someone like Christian Bale who wanted to be in the Star Wars universe and you fucked it up? I mean, maybe I can see Christian Bale coming back for the fans. I mean, if there's a huge fan demand, I maybe, big maybe. But at the same time, because basically Star Wars is up in flames, I don't see him coming back. I don't see him coming at all. Okay. I mean, nobody knows what happened between him, and he's not going to talk. He's professional. He's a professional. But the fact of the matter is that they had a chance to have someone like Christian Bale in the Star Wars universe, and she screwed it up. She absolutely screwed it up. You guys wanted, now again, 2018 is when they first talked about it. And they talked about him being in a TV series for Darth Revan. And then the next thing you know, he's in that movie, the Love and Thunder movie. And after that was released, everybody wanted him as Grand Admiral Thrawn. I mean, I saw Twitter going nuts. They're like, Christian Bale needs to be Grand Admiral Thrawn. You know, this is what she's good at, is screwing things up. Hey, she was able to get Steven Spielberg to walk away from his own creation. When he walked away from Indiana Jones, I had no interest in seeing it. How do you accomplish that one? That's not something to be proud of at all. Oh my gosh. I, but you know, and the other thing, one of the many things is that, fans asked for years for like a Kenobi movie or Kenobi TV series. And because of course Ewan McGregor played a great young Ben Kenobi. He did. And and then we finally get it, and I didn't even have to watch it to know that he played a background character in his own show. Uh-huh. But here's the big problem as well, is that there was a character named Riva, and apparently the character was rejected, not the actress. Okay, this is a problem that happens all the time, and it just needs to stop right here and now because this is getting tiresome. This is getting old. This is getting downright stupid because it happened with Kelly Marie Tran as well. Uh, because there were a lot of people who didn't like the character Rose Tico. They just saw her as an unneeded character in the movie. And so not liking Disney and Lucasfilm didn't like hearing this. You're going to reject our character? Well, guess what? We're going to, throw a hissy little temper tantrum. And it turned into saying that people were harassing Kelly Marie Tran. It was bots. Bots were doing it. It has been confirmed that there were bots and sock accounts harassing her online. Because I got to tell you something, the um when she does come to Celebration, the fans adore her. It's the character that is not liked. And people can have that opinion of not liking that character. As for the actual actor or actress, totally different. Okay, I'm not sure where the blurred lines are on that. It's just like in the show All in the Family, Carol O'Connor was nothing like Archie Bunker. Absolutely nothing like Archie Bunker. I- Seriously, read up on that. There were times that he cried after having to do some of his act because of what he had to say playing Archie Bunker. th this stupid attitude of that because you don't accept a character, because you don't accept you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're a bigot, you're this, you're that, you're the other, is is ridiculous. I can not like a character for many reasons. Okay, first of all, is that character the bad guy? That's why I don't like him or her. Okay, I don't have to like the character simply because of the attitude of the character. If the character is a neutral character, like one of the background characters, but just the attitude of that character, yeah, I've had that several times. There's just that one annoying character. Just, you know, it's like, why are you here? Go away. So what does Disney do with this Riva character? Decided to blur the lines and turn it racist. It's like, well, you're all racist if you don't like, and it's like, and then Ewan McGregor had to get in on it, attack the fans, say, you're not a true fan if you do. And it's, so now we're resorting to you're only a true fan if you accept everything that we push out at you. You have to accept our thing and then you're a true fan of Star Wars. No, that's not how it works. Okay, even in the original trilogy, there are things in those movies that I don't like. So am I not a true fan? I don't remember George Lucas ever saying you're not a true fan. I mean, when he was being bombarded about the midichlorians, he doubled down on it, but he didn't attack the fans over it. And trust me, the fans got pretty hostile over that one. I mean, they sure did. It, trying to dictate to someone what they can and cannot like is fucking childish. And then to get these people on Twitter in on it as well to fight your fights, that's fucking stupid. Okay, raging and saying, well, because you don't like the character that we created, you're not a true fan. And even getting the actors in on it as well, that's unprofessional. No wonder Ewan McGregor is begging for Lucasfilm to make a season two. I'm sorry, but the ratings weren't there. You shouldn't have attacked the fans. Don't attack the customer and then be shocked when when the merchandise doesn't sell. Shouldn't have attacked them. Gosh. Ugh. People going out of their way to make fresh new accounts for in order to defend these shows and movies. Of course, I think the movies are over by now. Of course, at the same time, I guess they're going to make a Ray movie. I don't know where the money's going to come from, but we'll see. Uh, we can see when the account was made. I, I, if you think you're fooling people, well, surprise, you're not. Um, but I mean, seeing when an account was made goes as far back as MySpace days. So I don't. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's crazy some of the things that people don't understand about internet, like IP address. I mean, we knew about IP address going as far back as MySpace days. Anyway, so you have these fresh new accounts that are popping up everywhere, the sock accounts that are popping up everywhere. And again, they don't have any followers, and it's obvious brand new. And they are attacking people, they're defending, and they're basically copy paste all this stuff. Oh, best thing ever, and blah 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 blah. And and I think, well, I do say movie because like you have these people that are saying, um, they still go after The Last Jedi and they say, can we just all agree finally that this is the worst Star Wars movie ever made? And of course, these new accounts come right in and everything. And but the thing is that you have these accounts that say, "Oh, best thing ever," best movie ever, and or it's my favorite movie ever, but they never elaborate. If it's your favorite movie, that's great. But when you're asked to elaborate, you never do. Or you have like 10 accounts that say, favorite movie, it's my favorite movie, best movie ever. And it's like, okay, why can't you say why it's your favorite? See, I can tell you right now, Return of the Jedi is my favorite Star Wars movie. When I was a little kid, that speeder bike race, the speeder chase left me on the edge of my seat, and for some reason, it still does. Into my 40s, it still leaves me on the edge of my seat. What I love about Return of the Jedi also is that Lando gets his redemption. Also, the moment when he yells Yahoo, you go back to the first movie when Han Solo at the very same time says Yahoo. Eh, Those are the top three moments in that movie for me. I mean, shoot, I could even go into because I talk about Newsies so much on this channel. For me, with Newsies, I love the music. I mean, the fact that they took the time to make it fit the time period, and Margaret singing Lovey-Dovey Baby, it fits. And then High Times, Hard Times. I love that the set design and the costume design fits the time period. Now, one thing is that I saw that when I was 10 years old, and other musicals that I had ever seen were adults dancing and singing. And in that movie, you saw kids dancing and singing. And that was big for me. I finally saw kids my age dancing and singing. And um and that stuck with me. Now, with the dances, I mean, I loved the dancing, and I mean, I taught myself the dances because I was dancing and um into my adult life, but I taught myself the dances except for I could never get that solo that Christian Bale does. Damn it. Fuck you, Christian Bale. All those years of training and he hardly had any dance training and he did that routine, whatever. But that's what I love about the movie. If you love a movie so much, you don't just say, well, because there's a reason you love a movie. Now, I have seen people where they talk about The Last Jedi and they say why they like it. They are passionate about it and they talk about it, and that's fine. But you have all these other obvious bot accounts that just They say, love it, best movie ever. Look, as much as I love Return of the Jedi, it is not the best movie ever, as much as I love Newsies. Do you want me to list the flaws in that movie? Because let me count them for you. It, but this is the problem, is that it's like you're trying to make a thing happen that doesn't exist. It's just like that fight scene where it's Rey and Kylo Ren. They keep wanting to circulate that, and they're like, best choreography I have seen. Look, it's what are you trying to do? I have seen a lot of kung fu movies and everything like, and I'm sorry, but that is just a big old mess between dancing movies and kung fu movies and everything. That's just a big fucking mess. Uh, Trying to throw all this stuff into one scene where it's Rey and Kylo Ren and everything. If you like it, fine. That's great. But I mean, look, there one of my favorites is Kung Fu Hustle. And the thing is that yeah, there's a lot going on in that movie, but it's polished and sharp. And well, there's so much going on, it's clear. That scene is just a jumble of too much. You could have taken more time. They should have taken more time to sit down and figure out what they could have taken out to make it better. The choreography is not polished. It just isn't. I'm getting really tired of seeing that scene circulate Twitter and people trying to defend it so hard. If you like it, again, great. Okay. I mean, a guilty pleasure of mine is the live action Masters of the Universe, and people get really tired of they're like, why? Why do you like that so much? I'm sorry. I just so, but here's the thing. Okay, so in closing, as I said, Star Wars is held hostage by two people who don't understand or care about Star Wars. They they don't. Okay, basically they just want to use these characters and the universe to push their agendas. Well, I got news for Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland. The Force will never be female. Never. It will. You could say it till you're blue in the face. But the fact of the matter is that George Lucas established what the Force is back in 1977. George Lucas is the creator of Star Wars, and his word matters. This Force is female crap is just fan fiction. your personal fantasy. It's what you want to happen, but it's not going to. Okay, Star Wars was established in 1977. And now what you're trying to do is fix it for you, the Ed Gein complex. It- Leslie Headland sat there in an interview and said things like, uh, in her world, nerds are gay, and Star Wars has always been gay, um, and R2D2 is a lesbian. Uh, she's 44 years old. She's 2 years older than me. We get it, Leslie. You're a lesbian. You're gay. Okay, it's great that you're comfortable with yourself, but these are established characters. Okay. And what's funny about you announcing all of this stuff and trying to make everything gay is that you talked about how in another interview, you talked about how you were bullied because you were different. You sat alone at lunch and all that you were piling it on. Now, I got to be honest, I see Leslie as a bullshitter. I don't believe half of what she says. I think she says what she needs to because quite honestly, she's the same age as me. I graduated 25 years ago, which means that she graduated around the same time I did. Why is she bringing up stuff that happened? Sorry, but I was bullied too. I was the fat kid, but I grew up and I moved on. Okay. Apparently, she hasn't. If she's still bringing it up and she needs that pity to sell this thing, and she's talking about hate speech, okay, criticism is not hate speech. If you can't handle the criticism, then you need to step down. If you only expect positive reviews, sorry, you don't belong here. Okay. I have received some pretty nasty reviews. Comes with the territory, sweetheart. Okay, but I got news for you. Star Wars was never gay. The fans hinted that C3PO was just joking around and saying all that because of the way he walked and all that stuff. Yeah, it's the middle school mentality. And to say uh that in your world nerds are gay, you know what? When I was in high school, nerds were outcasts, but I got over it. If you liked Star Wars and you liked video games, you were an outcast. So there's that. She was she's 44 years old and she's acting like this. But And I have no problem with anyone's sexuality. I struggled with my sexuality through my 20s. So I want to make that very clear. It's the fact that she's acting very unprofessional and basically taking characters that are not even hers, a universe that's not even hers, and acting like they do belong to her. The fan fiction part is hers, yes, but Star Wars is not hers. That's the difference. Okay. So saying that Star Wars has always been gay, it's never been gay. So, um, I mean, nice try though. Ed Gein complex. Look, Star Wars should be about playing the video games, reading the books, having the discussions, and all of that stuff. Enjoying the characters. Why do you like the characters? Do you even like the characters? I mean, look at the nickname I have. I have a bunch of they're packed away, but I have a bunch of the action figures. And my friends and I have a bunch of inside jokes for Star Wars and everything. I have the cans for episode one, the Pepsi cans from episode one. I was really hoping that episode two would have them, never came, but I have those still tucked away. I have a lot of memorabilia, and that's what Star Wars should be about. And it instead of sitting online yelling and screaming at people, calling them names, and even before something comes out, we're being accused of being, that's not what it should be. Just remember, you could have had Christian Bale in the Star Wars universe, and Kathleen Kennedy fucked it up. Anyway, I'll close up here.